the story that was debunked by the Inspector General was a story that really, it just enveloped the horribleness that they'd created in their minds of President Donald Trump. Everything that was bad about him. And it's the story about him on June 1st last year, having the park police violently and dangerously clear out Lafayette Square and the area in front of the church so that he could go for that photo op. Remember, that was the story. Donald Trump gave a speech in the Rose Garden. While he was speaking, the cops were clearing the protesters out of Lafayette Square using tear gas, and then Donald Trump walked across the street, held up the Bible in front of the church, and it was for a photo op. And that was the best story in the minds of the media because it showed that A, Donald Trump didn't care about human life and Americans and Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and any of the protesters because he would order his park police to just clear them out so he could go take a picture in front of a church. Also, B, it showed that Donald Trump did not have respect for law and order and that he was a violent militaristic tyrant and he would dictate what the park police were supposed to do like they were his own private SS or Gestapo. Number 3, it proved that Donald Trump was all about appearances. He didn't care about God. He'd never read the Bible. He didn't know what the inside of a church looked like. He just wanted to kowtow and to pander to the religious zealots and the Christians that voted for him, and he was hoping would vote for him again in 2020. So it was everything about Donald Trump that they wanted to prove true, and that's why they pushed this story, which turned out to be false.
Investigation by the Interior Department's Inspector General published yesterday finds that last June, Washington's Lafayette Square Park was not forcibly cleared so that former President Trump could hold a photo op outside the historic St. John's Church.
Wait, what? Well, then what? Wait, what? You mean to tell me that what the media, and I'm talking about every branch of the media, it was CNN, it was ABC, NBC, Washington Post, it was everywhere. Even Fox News said Donald Trump appears to have used the park police to clear out protesters using tear gas so that he could go take a picture holding a Bible in front of a church. This guy is Satan. This guy is the devil incarnate. This guy is the worst person, not just the worst president, the worst person to ever walk the earth. Well, that's not the case. Turns out Donald Trump didn't have the park police clear the square. They cleared the square for a totally different reason, right, Mika?
Instead, the report finds that the clearing, which took place during protests against racial injustice and police, happened so a contractor could install fencing.
Yeah, a contractor could install fencing. Why? Because protesters were destroying the church. Protesters were destroying statues and artifacts. Protesters were threatening the Andrew Jackson statue. They were going to topple it. So the park police and the Department of the Interior said, we have to protect these things. It's our gosh darn job, and we're going to do it. So they cleared out the square so the contractor could come in and put in fencing. Well, this destroys their entire Trump's the devil narrative. And Mika Brzezinski doesn't have, she has no idea what to say.
Joe, I don't even know what to say. I mean, well, I don't think a contractor putting up a fence has this much power.
No, the contractor doesn't, but the people that contracted him, meaning the United States government, they definitely have the power to do it, and they use it. Also, fun fact: if you can't figure out what to say, I've always found it best to to just be quiet. Jim Acosta over on CNN, he read the report. He heard what the IG said about this whole thing, and he realizes that, you know what? This isn't the end. This is just the beginning.
Well, I certainly think it raises more questions than it answers. I mean, you know, the IG report is saying that the park police cleared the park with the purpose of setting up this fence because obviously the protesters needed to be moved back from this area where they were defacing statues and potentially pulling down the Andrew Jackson statue and so on.
This report was supposed to answer a question. The question was, did Donald Trump order the park police to clear out Lafayette Park and the square in front of the church so that he could go take so that he could do a selfie with the, well, it wasn't really a selfie because he didn't take it himself, so that he could have a photo op with the Bible in the church? That's what everybody said happened. The IG was supposed to answer that question, and he did. Jim Acosta didn't like the answer, so he said, well, this just raises even more questions. And then, of course, he did what they always do. He tried to paint the IG as a Trump sympathizer.
And I have to say, you know, when I read through this report, it sounded as if this Inspector General was auditioning to become the Inspector General at Mar-a-Lago. Because, I mean, this is almost a whitewash of what occurred on June 1st.
By the way, there's no Inspector General at Mar-a-Lago. It's called Head Pro. idiot. So get it right. But then, you know, he's like, look, this is a travesty because they really feel like they uncovered a bombshell. They really feel like they were the winners. They knew exactly what happened in this whole thing. And now he's just beside himself.
These protesters were largely demonstrating peacefully and were violently cleared from that park. It was just a huge blow to the First Amendment.
And I'll tell you what, if anyone knows about blowing the First Amendment, it's Jim Acosta.